Hi, my name is Ronan Kennedy. I'm a career coach and business mentor, and today I'm talking with my friend Delaney Davis.
Ahoy.
Thanks for taking the time to have a quick chat with us and tell us about what you do. So, what do you do?
My pleasure. What do I do? Big question. Any more specificity on that?
What's your business? What's your career?
Perfect.
What do you spend your days doing Monday to Friday?
So I am the co-founder of a company called Untapped, and we are the #1 community for evolutionary experts. So what that means is we love helping thought leaders, coaches and consultants scale their impact, scale their businesses. And that's what we do every day with my life and business partner together.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So how do you help them scale?
We have a very unique methodology where a lot of, in the space of my earlier career in marketing and understanding, is a lot of things look at, what is the business model and what is your customers? And I feel like that's very broken and it takes the founder very much out of the question. Where a lot of these thought leaders and consultants are trying to build their businesses off like product-based methodologies of like, here's a website, here's the thing to sell, off you go. Rather than really understanding who they are as an individual, what their values are, what the type of business they want to build, what the type of life they want to live, and then actually creating something around that where they're first.
So it's very holistic.
Absolutely. Because if you don't like your business and you don't like your customer, what ends up happening is you don't like yourself.
Right.
And just creates this big vicious circle of resentment, and then you burn out, you get exhausted, you don't like what you're doing, and then it all just fizzles out. And it's like, what was the point?
Yeah, absolutely. So it sounds like there's a story there. How did you get to identify this as a business or a niche or something that you wanted to do as your mission and as part of your value set?
I've always been impact-led. So ever since I was a wee lad, I think when I first heard the word entrepreneur, I had no idea what it meant, what it was, but I was like, that's what I want to do with my life. And I remember what really put the nail in the coffin for me was in school. When I was like 5 years old, the very school teacher, and I wrote down obviously a horrifically spelling of entrepreneur. I can barely spell it now as an adult. And the teacher told me that's not a thing. And I was like, yes, it is. It's an entrepreneur or whatever I was trying to say as a 5-year-old. And then I ended up storming off to the principal's office to get an adult dictionary. And the principal was like, oh, yes, Dalaney, an entrepreneur. And then I remember going back to the teacher, pointing it on the dictionary. And I think at that point is when I lost my respect for authority and was like, I'm going to do my own thing.
And the dream for entrepreneurship began.
Yeah. And I'm quite lucky from a conditioning standpoint as my grandparents are entrepreneurs and my parents are entrepreneurs. So I grew up being told you will never make money working for someone else. You will never enjoy life working for other people. So that's when my hunger for figuring out my thing sort of happened. I remember my friend Jackson at 14 like deciding he wanted to be a dentist, and I just thought that was the weirdest thing because I was like, I have no idea.
Right.
So my journey through this, a long story short or long story longer, was me just experimenting with everything I can get my hands on that was impact related. So my very first business was chili infused olive oil when I was 14 years old, selling that at the farmer's market. That's when I learned about cooking. That's when I learned about margins in cooking, and it was very expensive and very hard to make money, so I kind of gave that one up. Then ended up what was the very next one? Sustainable products. So then I got into sustainable packaging, reusable straws, reusable that type of thing, and really like pushing that narrative of sustainability. That was exciting. Ended up exiting that business because I realized that sustainability wasn't the root cause of real impact. It was just a band-aid on the real problem.
Right.
Because I was sitting across from someone in a cafe talking about like their cafe and implementing this takeaway packaging for their businesses, and the cleaner overheard our conversation and said sustainability is a privilege problem. And then I was like, damn it, this isn't it. This isn't what I'm meant to do.
Right.
So I gave that business away. Or exited it, whatever, and then kind of went hunting on like that true answer of what could have the most impact. And it was in that moment where I realized, particularly around sustainability, that no one will give a shit about the planet unless they give a shit about themselves first. So that's when I went on this quest of more personal growth and coaching and personal development, and I went down that route. Ended up building a coaching company with my partner as well. We have the Social Experiment, which still runs in New Zealand. That's for Rangataki youth or New Zealand's youth. And that's entrepreneurship and personal development, Trojan horse together. And then we really got to this crescendo, this point where we realize that we can't coach everyone, that there's certain people that can only hear certain people. My favorite example here is if you ever walk into a party, there's some people there that you can see and some people that you cannot see. There's people that are just invisible to you. There's people you might find really attractive. There's people you might just not like for no reason. And then there's people that are just invisible to you. And the same thing goes in the thought leadership industry, is there's some people who cannot hear you and there's some people that cannot hear me. That's why we need more thought leaders, more coaches out there. And that's when Bryony, my partner, and I had that epiphany of like, we need to help the coaches, we need to help the consultants, we need to help the thought leaders get more, because we need more of them out there.
Right.
It's the 4th fastest growing industry in the world, and we need more coaches. So my journey has been a quest of really refining and understanding my values and what it was, the best expression of those in the work I did.
Right. So really tapping into that impact piece as deeply as you could and refining it at each step.
Yeah, every way. How can I get the most leverage in terms of the impact I want to have? Where it started with, like, okay, all these literally all these olives are getting wasted. It's like, okay, I'll make some olive oil. Like, that was me trying to be sustainable. Then it was the packaging side of things. It was like, okay, like climate change, this is a serious thing. How can I help that? And then it was like, okay, now it's people. And now then, okay, the people helping the people.
Yeah, right.
So it's all trying to find that leverage.
Yeah, it's a really interesting perspective, because a lot of times when I speak to people, I feel like they might feel like a market is crowded, or they might feel like everyone's doing this whenever they try to start something, but...
Absolutely not. So my background is psychology, so I'm just thinking in people all the time.
Right.
And one of my favorite things is around like anthropology, and our brains cannot comprehend more than like 500 people.
Right.
Because that's the size of the villages we used to live in. So when we think, oh, there's a career coach already doing that, we go, oh, dang it, I can't do it. But there's only 500 odd people that they can really support, or 1,000, and then you're 2,000. So yes, we need more people. Hundreds of more, thousands of more. Keep going.
Yeah, I agree, because I think like you were saying at the party, like there's some people who will really suit that coach or that professional or that mentor, and then there'll be other people and they resonate much more with this style or this personality or this chemistry. And so it's just really tapping into that, right? Like finding the right person. And none of us are all things to all people, right?
And there's also that like neurodiversity piece comes in as well. Is all of us learn different, all of us see the world differently, different beliefs, different backgrounds, everything. So we need those people that have a similar background story to us, a similar level of relatedness that we can connect to, so we can help get them to where they need to go.
So what's the biggest challenge you find that the coaches or like the thought leaders that you're working with, what's the biggest challenge that they encounter? Is it like a mechanical, or I don't know the steps to go through, I don't know how to put a business plan together, I don't know how to implement it, or is it more, let's say, the mindset and the belief system? What do you find people struggle with the most?
All of the above.
Yes to all.
Yeah. One of my favorite things is really stepping into understanding the business you are, or where you're at right now, and the business you're becoming. So the biggest layer on top of we see of that is always money blocks, money stuff.
Money beliefs?
Money beliefs, yeah. A lot of people in the space, we're so attached to our hourly rates for some very strange reason. It's how we entered the workforce. It's how we kind of continue being in the workforce of, I started on minimum wage. Now I'm on this. Now I'm on that. Oh, now I'm $100 for an hour. And what I find is they're charging for their time and they're charging what they do. But the thing is that people are not paying for you. They're paying for a result. They don't care if it's 6 months, 12 months, 20 months, and it's $2,000, $10,000, what grand. They want to know, can you help me achieve what I want to achieve? So the first one is really breaking that mold of getting paid for what you do and getting paid for your time, and start really shifting that perspective and that business model and be like, no, I make money from helping people achieve results.
Right. But if you can shift that, so it's wonderful if you can shift that in the mindset of the coach, consultant, mentor, thought leader. Do you find there's a shift that happens in the customer or the client's mind as well, where it's like you need to look at this not just as you're going to get a transaction of 1 hour of time, but we need to shift this to more a result.
For sure. Well, then it becomes really results orientated and really understanding what it is that you actually want to help people with. One of my favorite things and one of the hardest words I find to say is the word wheelbarrow. So excuse me, I can't say it for some reason. But what I find is like a lot of coaches and consultants, their results they offer aren't tangible, aren't physical. So we have to create a tangible physical result for our clients or customers. And it has to already connect to a desire they want. Within marketing, we cannot fabricate desire. We can only communicate what people really want.
Right.
So that's why, like, say, for example, I see some like transformational coaches and they're like, oh, be more confident and fulfilled. And my first question to them is like, to do what? And they're like, so they can have more freedom. I say, okay, great. To do what? And it's like, oh, so they can finally ask for a pay rise. And I'm like, that's what they want.
Yeah, that's the end result.
It's the end result, right? Where a lot of us in the online coaching space, in the service spaces, we're not quite taking people on this journey. This I call it the marketing flow method. It's one of my methodologies of the marketing flow method of how do we really communicate where someone's at and get them to where they want to go. Because what happens is people are communicating what they know, right? Like, say for example, you're a self-expression coach. You help people speak on stages or whatever it might be, and you put yourself out there like, I'm a self-expression coach. No one's walking around thinking, I need a self-expression coach.
Right.
They're walking around to like, I am petrified at the idea of walking onto a stage.
Right.
So it's like the marketing flow method is really about communicating where people are truly at and then giving them the same epiphany or the same journey that you had to get there. Because in order to create change, people need to have the same emotional reaction that you had, right? That's how memories are made. That's how traumatic events are stored, is emotion are tied to an event.
Right.
So whenever we're sharing what we do, we must tell stories and we must connect to them emotionally so people can have the same epiphany that we had.
So what would be the practical steps you'd give to like a coach or a consultant watching this to think, okay, yeah, I want to be able to communicate that message in a way that the clients or the potential clients are going to get that emotional state and that epiphany.
Yeah.
Sounds wonderful.
This is fantastic. So the very first thing to consider is actually starting with the result that you've achieved. So say, for example, for yourself, like pivoting careers, like I pivoted my career. That was the achievement. Now, what was the backstrokes in order for me to get there? So what was the epiphany I had, right? So usually with an epiphany bridge, I like to start with like a moment, right? It's one of the most powerful ones. And one of my favorite examples is just a McFlurry, right? So there I was sitting in my car, craving a McFlurry. And then you think about like all I wanted was the M&M McFlurry that was just advertised last week in that billboard. So what I did is I got in the car, went to McDonald's, and lo and behold, the machine was broken. I couldn't believe it. The world told me like you should get McFlurries, like they're delicious, they're amazing. But then I got there and the machine was broken. So then I decided, right, I'm going to do something about this. So I got in my car and I drove to the furthest McDonald's on the other side of town. And lo and behold, they had a working McFlurry machine. And I realized, like, in order to get what you want, you have to go that extra mile, And then now I've taken that lesson and learning and applied it to everything in my life. All I have to do is go that one extra mile and everything works. That one extra piece of content, that one extra step. And now, my business is flourishing. Right. Now, I know that's a crude example, but it's really taking them on that journey of where you were, what was in the way, what the world told you, what you may have told yourself internally, the plan you hatched, the epiphany, the conflict that may have gone there, the achievement transformation, and then a call to action.
Fantastic.
Because we're storytelling animals. It's how we've always transferred wisdom and knowledge is through storytelling.
So once the thought leaders understand this process of communicating their story, being able to make an impact, understanding their vision and the values that they're bringing to make that impact, do you feel like everything else kind of irons itself out and it's more straightforward? Like, is that the big, what's the word? The big thing that you have to knock down, the big boulder that you have to push down or whatever it is, and then everything else is kind of downhill after that? Or is there a couple of more steps?
Couple more steps. So I believe the very first step is you have to be able to tell a compelling story on what it is you do. Like, what was that emotional journey? How can you connect to people to help them realize that it's possible, right? Like, all the biggest transformations I've ever had in my life has all been from someone communicating a story to me and letting me know it's possible. For me to get through my deep depression was literally a story of someone who was in a similar background, similar circumstances, deeply depressed, and having an epiphany that they in fact loved and there isn't a way out, right? Like, it all came from someone sharing a story.
Wow.
Then the next important element is called the UM, as part of my marketing flow method, is the UM, and it's your unique methodology.
Right.
And what that is like, all of us have tried so many things to achieve things we want to achieve. Say, for example, losing weight. Like everyone's, tried this diet, tried that fad diet, gone to the gym, got into CrossFit, got injured, got out of CrossFit.
Right.
Like everyone's tried everything.
Yeah.
And one of the most important things is that if you're a thought leader and you've found a unique way or a different way of achieving something, is you have to communicate that. You have to share people like, I know you've tried this, but this is a new methodology where we deeply reflect, we understand, your specialty of your body, your health, your systems, your goals, your achievements, and we'll tailor a package to help you get a result. Because what happens is a lot of people in the service industry or buyers in the service industry have lost so much trust. They've lost so much trust, and like particularly I call them the marketing bros.
Why is that?
Well, all the marketing bros have put everything out there and promised them, $1 million overnight and, lose 10 pounds in 10 days. And it's all been marketing's problem. And that's why I love that marketing flow methodology is how do we connect back to who we want to help? And how do we take them on that journey to help them understand that transformation is possible, to build that trust with our unique methodology that it is actually a different way of achieving it, which it actually should be a different way. It's not just marketing.
Right.
And then actually then delivering that in a unique way.
Yeah. Fantastic. I love the idea of really focusing on the result and making an impact. I find it tricky to convince clients or customers who are thinking about working with me or doing some coaching with me, hey, you might need six sessions here, you might need 6 hours, and they're like, yeah, maybe I will, and they'll be very open-minded, but why don't we start with one? And then after one, they might be like, that was good, I'll do one more, or they might be like, that's enough for the moment, and I'll feel like, well, we've got another 6 we should do here because there's other stuff that we haven't had time to go into. But I find that like a difficult bridge to cross. It's difficult trying to convince them. I feel I'm convinced, and then sometimes I'd say, well, why don't we do another 20 or 30 minutes and I'll show you what we'll go into, and they're like, oh, that was great, but that's it. So do you think that's a case of if there's someone who's similar to me in that case, it's well, maybe you need to identify customers who really get what you're offering and it just clicks with them straight away? Or is it a case where maybe you need to take them more on the journey? What sort of advice would you have for me or someone like me?
So oftentimes when coaches start out or a consultant starts out is they find they put something out there and boom, they get clients, boom, they get customers,
right.
Boom, people in there and they get it,
right?
And then they might say do a second launch, and then crickets, nothing. Where'd everyone go? And what happened is that when you look at your, say, total audience, there's a certain percentage statistically of people who already know who you are, already have trust in who you are, and know what you do. Right? Say, for example, the McFlurry example. I want a McFlurry. I know what a McFlurry is. I know where to get a McFlurry from, which is, McDonald's. And in a case for you, it'd be like, I need a career coach. I need Ronan, right?
Yeah.
It's connected. It's here. They know exactly what they want. They are solution aware.
Yeah.
But then majority of people, 70% of the world, are walking around in pain and don't know why. They don't know why they hate their job. They don't know why their manager's an asshole. They think it's their manager, or they think it's their company, or the culture. They're not having enough vacations.
They might think it's themselves.
They might think it's themselves. Exactly. They are completely problem unaware and even solution unaware.
Right.
That's why, it can be quite challenging to communicate them because you need a career coach to make a change, but they're walking around going I just hate my life.
I don't know what the problem is.
I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah.
So then that's why the marketing flow method is so important, because cool, I need to go down and talk to where they're at. It's like you wouldn't, if you were teaching a child algebra, you wouldn't start with algebra.
Right.
You'd start with 1 + 1 is 2. And they go, I get that.
But it's also going deeper into, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's going deeper into talking about the problem, helping to understand the root cause of the problem, and then going towards the solution?
Well, it should be, you should be helping everyone get over an obstacle the entire way.
Right.
So even say for example, if you've ever been to a doctor or a chiropractor and they're like, you just need an adjustment, and then they adjust you and then you're solved. It's like the modality will always create a result, and it's your importance to help people understand what your solution creates, right? Because there's a challenging one is that the parable is someone has a headache and the pharmacist wants to put them on drugs, the surgeon wants to cut them open, and the therapist wants to talk to them for 3 hours. All of those are the same solutions to the same problem, or different solutions to the same problem.
Yeah.
So it's super important to really connect and communicate to people to help them understand that you understand their symptoms and that there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
This is the pain you're in. I hear you, I understand that truly, and this is what you want to achieve. I am the gap. I can help you solve that.
Very good. So you're building a huge amount of rapport at the start to help understand their pain, understand their problems, and then bring them on a journey, right?
And it's not marketing, it's not convincing. It is being a human and helping other humans evolve. Because like you can think like, oh, I don't want to convince anyone, I don't want to do marketing, I'm just going to stay up here and be like, who needs a career coach?
Yeah.
But that's not going to help anyone.
Yeah.
You need to go down to the 7-year-old and be like, hey, like there's a better way for you to get to school. Let me teach you how to ride a bike, you know?
I love that. Yeah, I love that orientation to really just tapping into like, yeah, you're a human, you're trying to help another human. It's really going into like a very nice sense of contribution. Yeah. And I guess I wonder how do you speak to your clients about then including money in there? Because there's got to be some financial reward for people to be not just to survive, but to be able to like continue to develop and add more value to the clients or the customers that they're working with. So do you find that like helping your clients or your coaches challenge their beliefs on money, create new beliefs, or break down, like, you know, how do you go about that, or how do you think about the sort of pricing and money and all that sort of? Maybe that's the boring stuff for you. I don't know.
It's not boring. It is. I'm smiling because it's one of the first pillars we work on.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's one of the biggest blockers. We're so conditioned by like, eat the rich, money's bad, money's this. But the truth is that money is completely neutral. Money is just an energetic exchange for goods and services.
Right.
And people are worried about like being money hungry or being perceived this way or that way. But the truth about money is, money only makes you more of who you already are, right? So like if you're an asshole and you get lots of money, you become a big asshole. If you're a kind, caring person who wants to invest in sustainability, like cares about quality goods, and you get money, what's going to happen? That's what
you can contribute more.
Exactly.
Right.
Because where you spend your money is the votes you have for the world. So we believe it's important to have the conscious entrepreneurs with as much money as we can, because they're the ones that are going to circulate a values-aligned world.
Right.
So that's one of the first ones to break down. It's just money's just neutral. Like, figure it out. The other super powerful distinction is understanding we have both towards and away from values. Now, values are essentially emotions and how you want to do life. So for me personally, when I started my career in consulting, I would get these contracts. I would then just like coast and like not do any marketing, any sales, live off the money for a couple months, and then, oh no, oh God, I've run out of money, panic, get another client, find another way, and back up I go. And I found for me, I was stuck at this benchmark of how much I could earn and how much I could charge.
Right.
And it wasn't until I worked with a coach who really helped me through this and this distinction of towards and away from. And I realized that for me, I was actually away from motivated when it came to money. And what I mean by that is, say I was like, I want to be a millionaire, I want this, I want that. But my actions didn't align with that vision. Because really what I valued was I just didn't want to be poor.
Okay.
So the second I got enough and I was comfortable, plateaued.
Okay, but you went away from being poor, but not towards being...
Exactly. So for me, I had to do a lot of work on both healing that so I could distance myself from that pain, and then also creating a healthy motivation towards it. And the reason, and the next thing that aligns to this towards and away from, is most people don't know their number, the number they actually want to live off, and the retirement number. And the infamous, I want to make $10,000 a month. Like, where did you get that number from?
Yeah.
Where did any of the coaches and online people get that number from?
It's a round number.
Exactly. They just made it up. But the truth is, with inflation and everything, 300,000 is now the new 100,000. So you better get working. The other major thing that we notice is people don't know their numbers, and people don't have a why. Why do you want money? What are you going to do with it? Where are you going to put it? Where are you going to circulate it? Because money is an energy. Money needs to circulate.
Yep.
When it comes to you, you've got to do something with it.
Yep.
If you just hoard it, it becomes toxic. And then
it's just a number on the screen, isn't it?
Exactly. And it just deflates away and does nothing. But I see, like, for us, like, income equals impact.
Yep.
The more income you produce, the more impact you can have.
Yep.
Because you can start hiring people. You can start delegating. You can do more marketing. You can grow your impact.
Yeah. Absolutely. So on the other side of that, like, let's say if someone's starting out and they're thinking, fully with you. Money's for circulating. It's a tool and all that sort of stuff. I'm trying to get out of my current job. I'm trying to get out of my current business, and I'm trying to start out as a coach, a mentor, a thought leader, whatever it is. And I need the money to gravitate or to graduate from one to the other. What sort of tips or advice would you have for them to, I suppose, replace their current salary and start moving towards their mission or their values-based business?
Okay, let's get practical.
Yeah.
First thing, you must have a cushion account before you quit. You must have a splash fund, a little bit of cash on the side, whatever it is.
What, 6 months?
At least 6 months. So
6 months of salary or 6 months of living expenses.
So there's 3 types of numbers you need. There's security, independence, and freedom. You need your security met, which is food, water, shelter. Right. So think you can cut off the dinners out and the holidays. Just cut that out and have that as your 3 month, 6 month number.
Yeah.
Step number 1.
Yeah.
Step number 2. This is going to go a bit of reflection. Really get present to how much you're worth. Right. The more valuable you are, the more value you can add, the more you can charge.
How do they find that out?
List down everything you've ever done, everything you've ever read, every salary you've ever had. Say, for example, like, when I was 18, I worked in retail. That was like $38,000, whatever. Then I got a degree. That was $50,000. Then I was that was $100,000. And I did that course. That was $900. And just list out everything you've ever put into your brain and get that clear number, right? And whatever that is, usually you can charge, should get about a 10x return. So say your brain's worth $1 million, that means you're worth about 100,000. Right. Just as a ballpark figure.
Right.
So it's super important to have that perspective and have that belief that I am valuable.
Okay.
Right?
Great.
I am valuable. I have value to add to the world. Cushion fund, valuable. And you've got to start with one of my favorite distinctions on pricing is actually asking someone's maybe. So say, for example, you go all out on, say, a service you want to help someone with.
Yep.
Say you as a career coach, you want to help someone like get a top CEO executive position. What are you willing to do in order for them to achieve that? Right? So, I'm going to move in with them. I'm going to mentor them every day. I'm going to cook for them, clean for them, do everything.
Yep.
I'm going to charge them $100,000 for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's one. Like, what is your $1,000 hamburger? The other one, when it comes to charging your worth, is really understanding your energetic capacity for wealth and money. And the one thing to understand that is to close your eyes. You don't have to right now. And you just count backwards from an incredibly high number, like say $10,000 for 1 month of coaching.
Okay.
And you keep counting down, say 9,000, 8,000, 7,000, 6,000, 4,000, whatever. And what you're waiting for is the maybe, right? Many people look for the hell yeah or the no. Maybe is actually your edge. Maybe is the number you should charge, right? When I first started coaching, I remember my friend Ruben was like, I need to work with you until you figure out how much you're worth. And he's like, $150? Done. Let's go. Bang on. And I worked with him for months. $150. Like, that was the very first coaching client I ever had. And then now it's like, okay, that is no longer my maybe. Now I have a minimum. Now I have that energetic exchange.
Right.
Because, the more people pay, the more they pay attention. And that works both ways.
Right.
Both for the client and the coach.
Right. That's
because if you say only charge $1,000 and you have a really troubling client and they want like 24/7 support, you're messaging them, you get drained and exhausted and you're like, oh God, for goodness sake. But if you've charged how much you're truly worth, which is that maybe number, which might be $10,000, you show up fully. You show up, you get that client the result.
So you're raising the standard for both people.
Absolutely. Because the more people pay, the more they pay attention from the client's front, is they're going to go, holy shit, this is valuable. My favorite example of this is when you have very expensive sunglasses, what do?
Well, you take care of them.
You take care of them. You get a case, you clean them, you wash them. What happens when you get the cheap pair from the sunglasses from the gas station for an emergency?
Yeah, you put them in your back pocket.
Exactly. Back pocket, thrown away. Because you didn't pay much, so you don't pay attention.
Right.
So for services and transformation, we actually have an obligation to ensure that we're charging truly what that valuable is worth.
Right.
And to consider that and understand how much your services is worth, there's a simple distinction of COI and ROI. These are two very important distinctions, COI, ROI. The very first one is called, I'll start with ROI actually, is return on investment. So what's the return? Say for you get someone a pay rise as a career. they've now earned $40,000 more a year because of your coaching services, and you're charging them $40. Like, hold on a sec, that's way too big of an ROI. Like, you should be targeting when you're doing this type of thing is like maybe a 10x return. So I could charge someone $4,000 for my coaching services, and they're going to get a $40,000 pay rise. That's pretty good. Like, that beats any stock market, you know?
Right.
The other one is cost of inaction. Now, this is my favorite one, because this is really understanding if nothing changes in their world, how much is it really going to cost them?
Yeah.
And my favorite example was a potential relationship coach helping someone who's about to get divorced.
That's an expensive business.
Divorces are very expensive. Very, both emotionally and financially. So you think if you could save a couple millions of dollars from a messy divorce by your $8,000 relationship coaching program, that's blimmin' good return on investment and cost of inaction.
And do you find the couple in that case, they get that return on investment or that cost of inaction?
Well, you should be bloody good at what you do, so ensure that they get that result.
So that's your job then, to communicate that really clearly with them.
Because the more they pay, the more you pay, the more you'll pay attention, the better the results you'll deliver.
Right. So that's really interesting, right? So that's all about like understanding your value, being able to charge appropriately, being able to communicate that value to the customer so they get it, and also demonstrating or communicating the cost of inaction. If someone is like working in their 9 to 5, they set up their security fund, do you recommend that they quit the job and just go 100% with a strong belief towards that coaching or mentoring or thought leadership dream? Or do you think, why don't you just like knock it to 4 days a week or 3 days a week, or do it at the evenings and weekends just to get that first client of $1,000 or $10,000? What are your advice tips on that?
So there's what I did, and then there's what I recommend.
Yeah, I've got one of those stories too.
Yeah. So me and my partner, the reason why we work so well together in our company is we're so similar in our values, but so different on our journeys. So she was a top tier corporate lawyer, working at McKinsey, one of the biggest firms in New Zealand, cushy salary, doing great, doing amazing, and she decided that she didn't like what she was doing anymore. And she got the cushion fund out. She started doing a thing called Y Weekender, where she was hosting things at cafes, running little workshops, building up a little nest egg, building up her confidence as a coach over like 6-9 months, and then took the leap with $10,000 in her bank account and just went pedal to the metal and went as hard as she could.
But kind of had like a list of contacts, had potential clients.
Yeah, she did it properly. So first do that. Yeah.
But there's an arc to the story. You did it differently.
I did it differently. Everything in my life has been very risky, and how I ended up surviving on the other side, I have no idea. But I leapt without knowing a care, $2,000 in my bank account, like no idea what I was going to do. And literally what I did in order to get what I was doing off the ground was all I did was connect with people and make offers. All I did was I worked in a co-working space, and I just talked to everyone. Oh, wow. As many people as I could.
So lots of networking.
It was more like networking. Oh, I hate the word networking. But it was more like just curiosity.
Right, yeah, sure.
Just so curious of like, is there any way, shape, form I can help this person? Any way, shape, form. And then they'd be like, do you want some help with that? They'd be like, yeah. And they'd be like, how much is that? And I was like, $1,000 sound okay? And they're like, okay, sweet, let's go. And that's how I started, was just connecting with people and making offers. And I tell people that you can get to about $500,000 a year just doing that. You don't need a website, you don't need Instagram, you don't need social media. Just connect with people, make offers, and solve problems. But a lot of people, when they're starting out, they look out to the business world and they go, oh, they've got a flash website, they've got logos, they've got branding. That's what I need. No, that's an end result. After lots of customer research, lots of conversations, lots of connections, lots of figuring out what you like doing and not like doing. So then you can truly do what you love.
So you did a lot of research, you did a lot of conversations, understanding the needs and all that. What sort of questions would you ask people?
Well, the fundamental belief here first is that business is not B2B or C2C, business to business or customer to customer. It's human to human. So the only thing that matters to understand is the person. That's it. And a lot of people go wrong in the service industry is they get obsessed with their craft. They get obsessed with the service they offer rather than solving problems. So one of my favorite one-liners to everyone and our cohorts in our community is, remember, we're here to solve problems, not build products. Because the number one thing that makes any startup, tech startup, anything fail is they get obsessed with their product and not their customers. So the way there is simply understanding like where you're at. Like, tell me your problems right now. What's keeping you up at night? What's really on your mind? And one of my favorite things is ask why 5 times. And on the 5th why, you usually get the truth. So, oh, my boss is an arsehole. why?
Why is he bossing us?
Why is he bossing us? Oh, he's always late and he tells us to be early, but he's always late. I was going, why does that upset you? So, well, I really like punctuality and frequency. Oh, are you good at that? So, why are you good at that? So, because I adopt this and I've got 3 calendars and that, and you really understand the pains and problems behind things. And it's always that the truth behind the truth is always right there, and you have to really be willing to hold conversations and dig deeper into the true whys of what's actually behind them.
It's really a different level of listening though as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's very challenging because we're so biased, particularly like if say you want to start out as a relationship coach and you're so biased listening for like your relationship's a shambles, isn't it? Or you're single and you're desperate to date someone. Oh yeah, you put your beliefs and values onto people. So yeah, it's something that in my career, helping startups grow, helping service entrepreneurs grow, like all of it, one of the number one pillars to start with is just communicate and connect with real people and really understand their pains and problems. So many of us get obsessed with us, like, well, what should I do? What am I going to do? What should my Instagram handle be? Like, it's just a waste of time.
Wasted in the details and not focused on the people.
What you're actually here to do.
Of it. Yeah. Where do you see the industry going over the next few years? Do you have any ideas?
To the moon.
To the moon. Well, there's a lot of people doing courses, making ebooks, doing workshops on Instagram, doing workshops on YouTube, all sorts of stuff. Do you see that more continuing, or do you see people breaking out into smaller communities, or what do you think?
So we are biased. We're in the industry.
Sure.
We see coaches everywhere. Like, there's so many of us now. We are but a fraction of a fraction of a fraction. You can already see, like, in the masses, how the conversation of being disenfranchised with universities, disenfranchised with public education, they're all thinking it, but they're still not doing anything about it. So us in this industry of like private peer-to-peer education is so new. We are, the adoption curve, we are the early adopters still. So in terms of growth and mass adoption, it is only going to escalate. And the other thing that I like to remind thought leaders of, and coaches and consultants, is that as you grow, your mentors grow. And what happens is, as you grow in your career, your quality of your clients will increase, and so will your mentors. So say, for example, one of my favorite mentors who's been supporting me for the last 3 years, he's just completely stepped out of his niche. He's like, I'm complete. And now he refers clients to me.
Right, okay.
And I'm just like, oh, this is brilliant.
Fantastic.
Because everyone grows together. All boats are rising together in this industry. And it's super important to not only keep going, but also help the next lot of coaches come up, because we need more people. We need more, so many more.
That's what I feel as well, because like sometimes people will contact me and they say like, I don't know how to tell you this, I'm a coach as well. I'm like, great, there's enough for everyone. Like,
there is.
Ask me whatever you want, I'll tell you everything. It's all on the website anyway, so you can read it there. Like, there's nothing to hide. I'm interested, do you have like maybe I don't, if it's a private case study that you cannot share of one of your clients, totally understand that, because they could be like private or not. But would you have any like examples of people who have like gone on a journey with you, and maybe it's like, because I think it's interesting, this is like a new area for, not for you, but for a lot of people who might watch this. They're like, I've never heard of this sort of stuff, and I don't know all the different types of coaching there is. Would you have any like examples of someone who's like, gone on that journey and what they do?
Yeah. One of my favorite shakers is getting consultants out of the per hour model. So I had one of our clients. They were a sustainability consultant in New Zealand. Right. They were just starting out. They just were like, "This is what I want to do." She'd already been doing like HR kind of in-house, but this was her true passion. This is the side quests she was doing in her company, was these sustainability strategies and consultancies.
Right.
And then she stepped on her own and was like, I want to be a consultant. And me and my partner, Bryony, business partner, we were like, she was a friend of ours as well. We're like, how about no? And we take you down this thought leadership path. So what we did then is, rather than she going into the per hour model, what we did is we helped her design a program and a curriculum to systematically get results. Because there was methods to her madness. There was certain ways she started. Like, okay, first this is a crude example, but first we assess their current sustainability strategy. Right. Then we assess their potential strategy, and then we design a plan. Right. That's a method, assess, revise, and implement, right? So through that, getting her out of the per hour model, creating her own unique methodology and how she actually delivers a result, and then really understanding her as a human being, right? Because say coaching is only one mode of delivering thought leadership. There's coaching, training, facilitating, author, speaker, mentor. They're all different. So it's super important then, if you're a consultant or someone who's very clever and wants to teach or share, is really understanding your unique mode of delivery and sticking with that. So hers was deep intellectual learning and strategy and facilitation.
Wow, okay.
So she loved helping people with them get to their strategies and results,
Right.
rather than just preaching and teaching or coaching to their own insight.
Right.
So what we then designed was a facilitation workshop style company for her. And now she has other people delivering those workshops under her methodology.
Fantastic.
So then it's infinitely scalable. It's no longer relying on her.
Yeah.
Because what she was stepping out into was just another job.
Yeah.
But what we really then did is building a business,
Yeah.
building a process.
Yeah.
Because see, we get stuck in the doing, but what we need to do is understand processes and scale.
Build a system that can be implemented. So
Yeah.
you're not just the whole business yourself, or you're not just, you are the business. A lot of, I think, coaches are the business,
Yes.
as opposed to having a system behind it.
And where they start off is often very bespoke, very per hour base, and they go, no, everyone's different, everyone's unique. And me and Brian, we say, bullshit, there's definitely methods to your madness, and we can help you systematize that so it's scalable.
Very good, very good. So they're taking over the world now with sustainability facilitation, right?
Yeah, not only that, one of my favorite things we did with her for a marketing strategy was actually, rather than trying to go to the market and say, you need a sustainability consultant, I said, what if we help the sustainability consultants be better sustainability consultants?
Right.
So now she teaches her methodology to sustainability consultants, and they bring her clients.
Yeah,
so that
fantastic.
became her strategy. Rather than convincing companies they need sustainability consultants,
Yeah.
she created relationships with the sustainability consultants already out there with their business model and gave them the method.
Right, so it's a vehicle
Yeah.
for delivering
Exactly.
much more.
So now think about that as if she was just a consultant working per hour implementing sustainability strategies. She could probably work with maybe 5 companies a year.
Right.
Now she's got 5 people in her business, like 50 companies a year, like exponential more impact faster.
Tons more impact.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Right. So that's a huge win for her and for you guys.
Yeah.
I'm interested. So you're the people who help scale and get people to live with their values and their vision and their mission. In terms of your own business over the next couple of years, is it more scale, more people, more impact, or how do you see that going?
So firstly, you don't have to grow for growth's sake. Like sometimes there's a nice level that you're like, you know what, $500,000 a year, 2 10 members, spot on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we do see a big impact. We do want Untapped to be the #1 community for evolutionary experts.
Fantastic.
And my vision is to have a directory where everyone is in partnerships, everyone's doing business with each other, because the world needs more people. So we can go, hey, I've just got this mother who's got an 8-year-old who thinks they might have ADHD. Does anyone have any support on this one?
Fantastic.
Oh yeah, I'm in the Netherlands, I can do that. Da, da, da. That's my vision, is we have a community
So
of
linking.
thought leaders all together, the go-to place to find the expert you need. Because I believe that no life transition should be without support.
Yeah.
If you're transitioning career, there's support for you. If you're transitioning out of a relationship, there's support for you. If you're transitioning like, oh my God, I've inherited all this money, what do I do with it? There's support for you.
Right.
I believe that there are niche support that we can create for everyone.
It's fantastic. Yeah, you're tapping into so much more knowledge when you're doing it with a network or a community.
And when it's the right person for you, the right background, the right relatedness of story, the right, transformational journey that they went through, they can hype you. Because I find like the top thought leaders in the world, you look at them all interviewing each other on podcasts, and it just becomes just the same people talking to each other. And they're so not niche that it's so vague. And you might get frustrated as a thought leader, like hearing Simon Sinek being like, purpose is important. And you're like, no shit, Simon. It's so much deeper than that. So that's what I find like, I believe the future is lots of micro niches and lots of people, lots of thought leaders doing lots of different things, and we're all sharing and communicating together.
I think that's a great takeaway for today. Is like, you can find your niche, or you can find the community, you can find those people that are just right for you, instead of thinking you have to be all things to all people, or you have to be another Simon Sinek or whatever it might be. So finally, to wrap up, would you have any tips?
It's just getting warmed up.
You're just getting warmed up. Part 2 comes next week. Do you have any tips you would give to someone who's watching this today and they want to get started immediately, like super, super practical tips? Is there a website you would say they should go to, or should they start by mapping out a business plan, or what do you think?
I would start with, I think, something millennials are not very good at, which is reflecting, and really look at, what do I actually enjoy doing? What do I actually enjoy talking about? And what gives me energy? We're so conditioned that work and life and business should be hard, and we ignore the things that come natural to us, that are easy to us, that we enjoy.
Right.
So my quest for you is figure out what gives you energy and do that.
How do they do that?
Reflection.
So sit down with the notebook and the coffee.
Well, like, say, for example, after this conversation, my very first question to myself is, do I have more energy or less? And right now, like I said, I'm only just getting warmed up.
Okay.
This is giving me energy.
Okay,
So I clearly enjoy doing this.
Right.
If you would just, help your mum, like, figure out, like, a tax problem or something, and that gave you energy, maybe that's what you should pursue.
That's a nice rule of thumb. If it gives you more energy, pursue it further. If it gives you less, whereas sometimes maybe people they feel they're forcing it.
Yes.
Like, I have to do this because of this reason.
Yeah. It's so cliche. It's like, do what you love. Seriously, just do what you love. It's possible.
Yeah. But you're also bringing that other side, which is, here's how you make it a business, and here's how you sustain it, and here's how you grow it, which is like a super valuable service.
Yeah. We've got heaps of resources. So if you want, there's the Untapped podcast, and there's also untapped.nz, all the things on there.
That's fantastic. We'll put that link in the video description.
In the show notes.
In the show notes. Thanks so much. Tons of useful nuggets and lots of wisdom and learnings.
I kind of blacked out. I hope it was good.
It was wonderful. Thanks so much.
Love you.
Good on you.